Over the last year, I have reviewed over 200 of your portfolios. And believe me when I say the world of developer portfolios can either make or break your chances at landing a job. While your portfolio is unique and different to you, there are some general principles that you can follow that will greatly help your chances at making a good impression on whoever happens to land on your site. And this is that mega video. I went through almost every single one of these portfolios I've already gone through to find the best examples for portfolios that were hireable, aesthetic, and creative, as well as examples of what not to do. So strap in because you're about to learn all the yays and nays of how to make a good portfolio. Make sure you hit subscribe, and if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. That's the only way I'll know how to do more portfolio videos. And if you want your portfolio roasted, this is our Discord channel. The link is in the description. There is a specific place where you can post your portfolio and the community will roast it. So please do not email me your portfolio because nobody will see it. First off, we have the hireability category. In my opinion, hireability is the most important part. If a recruiter is going to look at your portfolio, it's not going to be for more than 30 to 60 seconds. So the category is whether or not they get a good enough idea of who you are, what your skills are, what you do in that 1 minute. The first red flag of hireability is specific to people that call themselves either full stack developers, UX developers, or front-end developers. If you are going to claim that you focus on UX and UI and making perfect responsive designs, the biggest red flag is when you have things on your portfolio site that looks like it lacks attention to detail. I could understand these things if you are a backend developer. For example, if you have inconsistent padding and spacing and text sizes everywhere around your application, that is a huge red flag. When I'm hiring a front-end developer and I look at their portfolio site, I'm specifically looking for how my site is going to look like if I hire them. And if I don't like the way your stuff looks like, there's no way I am trusting you with creating my own. And another sin when it comes to hireability is these relative skills. And you see these everywhere. For example, when your software development skill is an 80% and your DevOps is an 80%, but your data structure and algorithms is a 65%. Nobody knows what that means. There's no frame of reference. The only thing I look at it and I'm like, okay, he's around 6 inches in software development, only 5 inches in Microsoft Office. It gives absolutely zero insight into what you do, especially when you have things like certified ethical hacker. Another red flag is if the recruiter lands on your page and within the first 5 seconds cannot tell who you are, what you actually do, and where you are from. I know a lot of people love to not put their location on their portfolio, but it is a massive L. Your location tells me if I can even hire you in the first place. And if I have to scour your entire website to find where you are from, I'm probably just going to go to the next candidate. And almost just as important is what you actually do. You see a lot of people with this auto typer effect that takes like 10 seconds to go. And if something's just like, I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, I'm a strategist, that gives me no insight. I could be hiring a senior front-end developer. I could be hiring a full stack developer, a back-end developer. I could be hiring an app developer. This gives me no insight into whether you are either of those things. Also, if I come to your portfolio website and you have incorrect, not updated information, that's also a huge L. For example, age is 20 but born in 2022. This site has not been updated in over 3 years. Passionate about building scalable and robust products, full stack developer, but this does not look scalable at all. You scroll down just a little bit past all this, you'll see this person's actually a senior full stack developer at FedEx, which is a huge deal. That is a well-known company and a good role. That improves this person's hireability, and the rest of the site would actively make me not want to hire this person before I even got to see that big benefit that he has. Also, I've seen some pretty sketchy portfolios, and things like this are really sketch where, for example, you have client feedback and it's just a low-res screenshot of someone that doesn't even look like they're real giving you a LinkedIn recommendation saying he is very intelligent and really good at his job. It's a clear sign of peacocking and also just really sketch, and it makes me just not want to trust you. And finally, the more of a generalist you come off by saying you know every single technology under the sun, and I've seen some really bad examples of this in the past, saying that you are an expert at social media, mobile development, web design, all of these other things is not the flex you think it is. If I'm hiring a full stack developer, I want someone that just knows whatever my tech stack is and is really good at it. Most people, when they are hiring, are afraid of the generalist because the generalist thinks they know a lot of things, but in reality, because they are so generalized, they probably don't. Because when people are hiring engineers, they're not looking for the mobile developer, web developer, and a social media expert all in one. I'm going to trust someone who is a specialist at either one of those things a lot more than someone who says they know everything. No matter how many of these portfolio tips you take, if you are bad at coding or you just use AI for everything, it's gonna show. Having fundamental web developer skills is more important now than it's ever been before. That is a completely completely within reach goal now thanks to our longtime channel sponsor, Scrimba. Scrimba teaches you how to code in a way that's completely different from anything you've tried before. Their tutorials come with a live code editor that automatically pauses the video and allows you to code as you follow along. And not only does that reinforce what you're learning so much better because you're actually doing while you're learning, but because the process is so engaging, it makes learning how to code actually a pretty fun process, which makes it a lot more likely that you'll stick to it and have a consistent routine. And while previously they only offered world-class front-end courses, I'm happy to say they are now a full-stack web development platform. They now have self-paced courses for back-end engineering, full-stack engineering, AI engineering, on top of their world-class front-end courses. It's all in JavaScript, and each course has the specific intention of making you a job-ready developer in whatever that course covers. So by the end of it, not only will you be able to build an amazing portfolio, but you'll feel confident on the job as well. And you can check out Scrimba with my link in the description or the pinned comment below. See what it feels like to learn how to code in the future and take your career into your own hands. Now let's talk about what really good hireability looks like. This is Ted. He's 28 years old from Singapore. He's a backend engineer by trade and full stack by passion. Here's his work experience of where he currently works. Wow, I immediately within 10 seconds get an amazing idea of who Ted is and what he has done. It's all right in front of me. Oh, here's some very simple projects he's worked on and all the technologies he's used. Clearly, he specializes in Fast API, Docker, and Python because he's used it for so many of his projects. Great, I feel like I understand enough about Ted to want to continue my conversation with him. If you are a normal engineer that has work experience, this is the simplest way to put it. And Ted is a backend engineer. It's not like he's some grand front-end guy. He didn't have to make this look like it's some crazy site. He just tells us what he does in a nice, simple, easy to read way. All the information I need is right here. Links to his LinkedIn, GitHub, his email, his resume. It's all just here. No bloat, nothing distracting me from how good he is and the experience he has from his job. Now, of course, you might be wondering, what if you don't have all this cool work experience and you're just a developer that wants to show off what you've done? Well, in that case, the best way to get hired is by showing proof of work. This is my friend Jason's portfolio. He is 17 years old, still in high school, yet is a senior software engineer. And I've featured him in a couple of my videos now because he is just the perfect example of what an amazing portfolio looks like. If you haven't seen my last video, I gave him a shout out and he watched that video and he mentions that a lot of people call him cracked or just a natural genius. But he likes to point out that his success being so young and being so good at programming did not come overnight. He has been consistently coding for the better part of 6 years. And there's no cheat code to learning. He just codes a lot. And even if he did not tell me that in an Instagram DM, the reason I love his portfolio is because it exemplifies that. Immediately, he tells you what he does, talks about his proof of work, building software that's trusted by the United Nations, Linux Foundation, Arch Linux, Genome, Valve, FFmpeg. How does that happen? Well, you don't have to scroll very far because right here he has his open source project that has over 14,000 stars on it. You scroll down and it shows his literal GitHub commit history, which naturally leads you to checking on his GitHub and oh my God, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. And so was last year's, and so was the year before and the year before. This guy's portfolio has so much proof of work in such a simple manner that it makes me want to hire this guy with like an astounding yes. Within 30 seconds of landing on his site, you can be impressed at what he has done. Proof of work in a simple manner will always outperform a really nice looking portfolio site that doesn't say much. And it turns out the best way to show that you are super passionate about what you do and are hireable is to actually be that in the first place and just show it off. Have an undeniable flex like, oh, I created this open source software which has all these notable institutions using it, like the United Nations. And in the final category of hireability is sites that show off how good you are at what you do. For example, this site is literally a remake of Windows 95 in React, if I remember correctly. And this is a fully like working thing where you can literally like use it and go through everything on here. I remember looking through this the first time and being like, the attention to detail here is unbelievable. And I can have confidence that if I hired this guy, his attention to detail with my specific site would also be the same level of unbelievableness. Another example is Pursunes, who is one of the very first winners of our portfolio streams, where he has a naturally nice and good looking portfolio, but when you click let's get to the fun side, he has a whole 3D interactive experience. And the reason this is so cool is because he is showcasing the very skills that he is actively trying to get hired in. He does 3D stuff for web and this site proves what his skills can do. And I just want to mention something interesting. When I was going through all the past portfolios to get examples of bad portfolios as well as the good ones, it was easy to find the good ones because often they just won the stream favorite of the day. But when I was looking through a lot of the bad ones, I found that there were two categories of people. There were those that submitted their portfolio, saw me roast it, and that their portfolio was bad and they just took their site down altogether. And then there were the people that scored really low, but then took the time to make their portfolio better by taking my advice, like this dude's. He previously scored a 1 on hireability and aesthetic, and this looks infinitely better than the first time I looked at his site. So if you are someone that has submitted before and had a bad portfolio, or you are watching this and your portfolio isn't the best overall, I can guarantee you the people that took the constructive criticism can take a video like this and take the initiative to actually improve their portfolio will end up not only as way better developers, but probably a lot more successful in their careers than the people who get criticized and just end up taking their site down and never looking at it again. Being a career software developer means constantly learning, constantly taking feedback, and constantly growing and improving your skills. And if you cannot do that with something as personal and as representative of who you are as your portfolio site, that's probably a decent indicator of how your career will go as well. Now let's talk about aesthetic. Is the information easy to read on your site? Does it look good? Is it responsive? Is it overwhelming with a large amount of text? Are you overcomplicating things to the point where it hurts my eyes to look at? And on that note, we have this portfolio. Now, hireability aside, the fact that we don't know what this person actually specializes in, I'm sure you notice as soon as you get to this page, it blinds you with its colors. I think they unironically use Comic Sans or something related to Comic Sans. Even if you are not someone that specializes in front end or you are a back-end engineer or something, I'm sure you can look at this and understand why nobody would like to read this. One of my other biggest gripes with site is when they have text and it is not centered. First of all, text contrast, like for example, yellow text on an orange background is extremely hard to read. And putting aside the choice of font for a second, the fact that this text is in paragraphs and we have to read from left all the way to right on a bigger monitor is an extremely bad UX for your reader. If the fact that this was so unesthetically pleasing didn't turn off a recruiter that was looking at your resume, the fact that they wouldn't have the patience or the ability to even read what you have on here would. And on that note, we talked about the typewriter effect. This is always an L, and blocks of jargony text really kill sites. Like, I can guarantee you having passion twice on your portfolio and reading through all of this stuff is the quickest way for someone to look at your site and just be like, I don't really want to read this. Another nitpick is not having high resolution images on your site. Like, the React is so popular that there is no reason that you needed a stretched image here for the React logo. And I wanted to save talking about this particular portfolio for later in the video, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But there is such a thing as too much going on in the screen. A lot of people love to just take every single animation they can and pop it into their portfolio because it looks like it looks cool. Just because you can take like Magic UI and stuff a bunch of their components into your portfolio to make it look like a ton of shit is going on does not mean you should. When there are so many things competing for your users' attention, that is the biggest way to make them feel like the site is too overwhelming to even read. If you landed on this page, would you read any of this? Would you look for someone's full stack specialties inside of a JSON object? Are you going to sit here and wait for these animations to like go through so you can see what skills this person knows? There is such a thing as doing too much. And that goes for colors as well. Sometimes color contrasts can make things really hard to read. For example, some of the most important things on this site is what the person's role is and where they are from. Yet it is like the lowest contrast thing on the page. And my attention when I come to this site is immediately drawn to things like these badges, which actually don't tell me much information at all. And another big L is if you have a project on your site or some kind of link, and number one, I click it and it either opens in the same tab and takes me off of your portfolio, or number two, I click it and the app is just down. If it is down, just link to the GitHub repo, or if it's one of those projects that just has one commit and going to the GitHub repo is not going to impress me, probably just want to leave it off your portfolio in the first place. Now let's talk about what good user experience looks like. First of all, you can see that this is clearly responsive, and even on a bigger screen, the text is put in a way where I can easily read it. Now, while I do have some issues with the hierarchy of information, like your name is very small here and where you're based in is not easily readable, I would prefer maybe like a location emoji. It's still very easy to read and there's no clutter. Scrolling down, I can very easily and clearly see which technologies this person is an expert at. I have some examples of their project with the exact technologies they use. It's not overwhelming. You also have sites that feel like an entire experience overall, like this one. This one's very creative and very different because it feels like an entire interactive experience that you're going through, and it gives you that clean and cool creative feel to it. Additionally, using little components like this to show where you are is non-intrusive. It doesn't like completely absorb my attention, but it's so cool and simple, and it gives a nice fresh take on what is going on. When it comes to aesthetic, Dewey's portfolio is one of the best. First of all, on the user experience side, he knows his name might be like ambiguous to pronounce, and he understands that and puts Dewey here so you actually know how to pronounce it. I thought that was an amazing touch because he actually thought about the user experience, not just in terms of what they are seeing, but how the person would feel when they landed on his site. Additionally, he does animations the right way. If you hover over his profile picture, it sort of feels like a little Easter egg where it like highlights his face and highlights some things on the page. There's small, non-intrusive things that sort of make me feel nice and warm on the inside when I discover them. I like to make interactive things, and his entire site is interactive in a non-overwhelming way. Like, this guy literally found a way to put a typing test in his website in a way that just makes it feel like a simple, cool little component. I'm not a fan of showing blog posts if you're not posting consistently, and I do wish we had some more insight into what his actual recent work experience was like. In terms of aesthetic, Dewey nails keeping it simple but also beautiful. And that leaves us with the final category, which is creativity. A lot of the times developers just want to get their portfolio site out there, so they will come to my spreadsheet, find good examples of people here that I've highlighted, and they will just sort of make a carbon copy of their site. But just like I showed you with Pursunes, you can make your portfolio feel truly unique in a way that other people just haven't done before. The biggest red flag I would stay away with is using a builder like this guy did. So you can see here as I scroll, it says portfolio.dev Visual Studio. And I was like, what does that even mean? But then when I went to portfolio.dev, I realized this was just the boilerplate template that he used to create his portfolio site. And not only is it bad enough that he's a full stack developer but used the template to create his portfolio, but a lot of this is still just the boilerplate information that he didn't bother to change. The fact that he left so much of the bad stuff that this site adds on, I guess, automatically to put your portfolio site, like all these garbage animations and the fact that it's so like just cluttered with information, shows me that if he's willing to ship this to prod to showcase who he is, he might be willing to do the same thing if I were to hire him. Similarly, if you are just gonna have a basic website that showcases your abilities, you don't want to do it in a way where it feels like you just made this in an hour, just sort of vomited a bunch of words of who you are and what you do just to check off the idea of having a portfolio site. Finally, I'd stay away from more common stuff like this. I know this is just like an import from like a popular thing, but any developer that looks at this is going to know that you just added that in there. It sort of gives the site a bit of like a cheap feeling. I will say this is sort of a newer thing, but there are some telltale signs that you did vibe code your portfolio site. Like, for example, this brain icon is one of the most popular icons that AI loves to use. So every time I see it, a part of me is like, they probably used AI to code a lot of this. And if you are going to use AI to code your portfolio, it better look amazing. If I know, number one, you didn't code it yourself, and number two, you don't know enough about programming, UX design as a full stack developer to guide the AI in a way to make your site even look decently good, that is like a double red flag. I feel like the only thing that scares me more than hiring a bad developer is hiring a bad developer that has the power of AI at their fingertips. Some of the recent portfolios I've already showcased have been very creative, but one that really stood out to me was Sugith. He is a Flutter developer. He has made a ton of apps. When I first saw it, it took me a little bit to realize that this phone on the left is an actual like working mock-up. Like, you can actually click on some of these applications and it will actually do things. Like, he literally coded tic-tac-toe in his portfolio. And I thought this was just such a beautiful touch. He took the thing that he is good at and he found a way to like port it over to the web to showcase his experience. And just to show you that not every portfolio has to be perfect and you can nail one aspect without having the others, I wanted to show you this one. This person sent me their portfolio saying it was the greatest thing I was ever going to find. And while it wasn't the most hireable portfolio I've ever seen, I could tell there was a lot of passion that went into making it. It just feels like a very warm and like self-thought of creative approach to this person's portfolio. There are obviously things wrong here like these buttons, but the portfolio itself has a charm to it. And that's really the big thing about the creativity category is even if you might not have the most experience or the most skills, creativity is really your way of showing how passionate you are about what you do. It's a really underrated part of most portfolios. If I was hiring a junior engineer or maybe an intern at a bigger company and I wanted someone that we can invest in and grow with the company, I'm really going to be looking for how creative and how passionate they are. And while this portfolio might showcase that this person doesn't have the most advanced skills and they are not very far in their coding journey, it still showcases a passion and a want to learn and an interest and love for what they are doing far more than most other developers that might be at their level. So a site as endearing as this might be the thing that tips the scales in their favor and makes me want to hire them instead of a more traditional developer. And that resonates with me a lot because that's actually how I got my first internship. I came from pretty much a no-name university and I was competing with people from Stanford and Berkeley for an internship in Silicon Valley. But the things I had under my belt was I made little shitty sites and I had users. The first thing I ever built that had users was a website where seniors at my university could be mentors for the juniors at my university and teach them how to code. It was pretty much just like a really shitty Trello where the third and fourth year students could teach the first year students how to code by guiding them through a project. And on top of that, I was super involved in my university stuff and I wasn't the best developer by any means, but because I was so involved, it showcased that I was actually interested in what I was doing. And when I got the job and flew to Silicon Valley to work my first internship, I asked my manager why he hired me and he said, while other people had way better GPAs than me and had way more experience, I was the only one that seemed like I actually enjoyed and had a natural interest for programming, and that's what he saw. So don't underestimate the creativity category. It is still as important as the rest. This was the learning from 200 portfolios, and if you want to actually get the most out of it, I recommend watching this video more than once. Take a day where all you do is focus on the tips I said for hireability. Then take another day and try to improve the aesthetics. Think about using your portfolio as a project itself. Find something ambitious, something creative that you don't know if you can make yet, and use your portfolio as an opportunity to learn it. Go through this video multiple times. Come back to each section days after you've done it and spot check it and be like, oh man, I actually missed this when I built it. Take pride in what you've built and use it as an opportunity to be interested in what you are programming. If you saw my last video about the problem with newer developers, that's really the thing that the industry is missing. People that actually do coding because they enjoy coding. Those are the ones that are going to stick to it longer. Like Jason said, they are going to use that natural interest to code in their free time a lot more, and that compounds into just being a way better engineer. And the reason I even made this video and stuck with it is because of all the people I have seen take my portfolio roast, improve their portfolio, land a job with it, learn a lot with it. They took these videos and actually improved themselves with it. And to me, that's what makes these videos worth it. It is what makes these videos feel rewarding, knowing that even a fraction of you, maybe even 3% of you are still even watching this video up to this point. And out of that 3%, maybe only 50% of you will actually take this advice and create an amazing portfolio and further yourself in your developer career. And even if only that small percentage of people do it, it's still worth it to me. So thank you again for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do more portfolio roasting videos. I only really make them when I get a lot of demand for them. So if nobody's asking for them, I'm probably not going to make another one, but I really enjoy them and I think they help a lot. So again, make sure you subscribe, follow me on Twitter if you want to see some hot takes. And if you want some eyes on your portfolio, or you want to practice looking at other people's portfolio and building an eye for what makes a good one, or in our Discord, we have a portfolio roasting channel where you can post your portfolio, give feedback on other people's portfolios, and I will see you guys in the next video.